So I have a question, right? What is the Jamaican dream? You know, like how you have the American dream? What's the Jamaican dream? All right, so basically the American dream is the equality of opportunity available to all Americans to achieve their accomplishments in the highest form, right? In essence, a lot of immigrants want to achieve the American dream, or a lot of Americans want to achieve the American dream, you know, the nice house, the affordability of everything, and, you know, the white picket fence, right? My second time making a video like this because I want to make sure that I say the right things, right? So I've seen some videos on TikTok of persons, you know, telling you how they do their daily lives, how they go about their daily lives, similar to like what I do in my mini vlogs sometimes, right? And under the comments, depends on who it is. It's like, if it's like an uptown Jamaican, they're like, oh my God, you know, which part of Jamaica is this? How people in Jamaica are living like this. This is clearly cannot be Jamaica. And, you know, this must be upper Hanju and stuff like that. Now, when I look at things like this, it makes me question or wonder, why do some Jamaicans feel like it is why do some Jamaicans feel like it's impossible to live a good life in Jamaica, right? Like Jamaica, just like any other countries, have good parts, bad parts. They have, you know, like even in America, there's the ghettos, there's people suffering, there's people complaining the government isn't doing too much, there's welfare, there's EBT cards, there's all that, right? So even in first world countries and the richest countries, they do have a downside to them, similar to Jamaica, but probably on a smaller level because we're an island. We've heard so many stories of persons, you know, making it out of the ghetto or making it out from, like, you know, growing up in poverty to achieving eventually like a better life. We've seen it with our athletes, we've seen it with our businessmen and stuff like that. So when, like, is it impossible? Hold on. So like, I know everybody wasn't dealt the same cards, whether you live in Jamaica or not. We all weren't dealt the same cards. Not everybody is born with a silver spoon in their mouth. Not everybody grew up wealthy. But like I said before, some people, you know, work with the cards that they have and made it, you know, made better of themselves. So I just want to know, right? What is the Jamaican dream? And why do some people feel like it is impossible to live a certain lifestyle in Jamaica? Still living in Jamaica, because most of the time we go to Jamaica, we want to left and go foreign for a better life, right? But why, when we see people attain living a good life in Jamaica, it is impossible to believe, or it's shocking to some? Let me know.
So recently I was thinking about the American dream, and I'm pretty sure we're familiar with that. But what would you say the Jamaican dream is? Like, if you were to ask the average Jamaican, what would their response be? I know in America, it'd probably be something like, oh, to own a home. But like, if you think deeply about it, what would the average Jamaican response be? Like, I know we have the Vision 2030 and all of that. But like, on the street, a regular person, I personally think the response would be to go America. And that don't need no form of explanation. But back to Vision 2030, like making Jamaica the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business. How do we feel we're doing in that? Like, what it is that we need in order to make that a reality? Like, we're in 2024.
So let's talk about it. What is the Jamaican dream today? Because once upon a time, it was simple. It was America. It was the green card, the barrel from Farrin, the wire transfer at Western Union. And now it's not so clear. You scroll through TikTok and you see Jamaicans living abroad frustrated, broke, working 3 jobs in a cold country that doesn't even like them. Meanwhile, locals are finding ways to thrive at home, doing farming, running Airbnbs, hustling in tourism, or building businesses online. That wasn't the narrative 20 years ago. Something has shifted. But why? It used to be that the dream for most Jamaicans, young, old, poor, even middle class, was a straight line that pointed due north. Migration to the US, Canada, or the UK, that was the goal. That was salvation, because the idea was Jamaica too hard, not enough jobs, not enough options, not enough justice. And the truth is, that wasn't a lie. Life in Jamaica was and still is incredibly tough for many. Crime, corruption, and lack of social infrastructure made living seem like the only option. But let's not pretend that life abroad is always better. In 2025, you can be undocumented in America for 15 years, cleaning houses in Miami or pushing carts in New York, and still not own a car or a home. You can be overqualified and underpaid, sending money back at home to people who believe you're rich, while you are living in a rented basement, eating instant noodles. And this is where the illusion breaks. The Jamaican dream used to be about escape, but now more and more Jamaicans are asking, escape to what? Struggle over there just to escape struggle here? So what's really the dream? Social media has changed the game. Locals now see the reality of life overseas in real time. They see cousins freezing in the snow, posting memes about bills and burnout. They see how many migrants end up depressed, homesick, or even deported. Meanwhile, they also see yardman, content creators flourishing, vendors selling on TikTok Shop, young men buying land in the country, women flipping rental properties. They are starting to realize maybe you don't have to live to live. And that's not just sentiment, it's a whole generational shift. A new kind of pride is rising, not just national pride, but locational pride. Some Jamaicans now see Jamaica as a place to return to, not to run from. They want to invest, build, own, stay. Some even say, I'm not going to leave Jamaica unless I'm flying first class. That was unheard of in the 1990s. So here's the question. Is the Jamaican dream dying, or is it just evolving into something deeper, something more rooted in self rather than escape?
You know, like how they say they have the American dream, Tonil. What would you say is the Jamaican dream? The dream, as a Jamaican going, what is the dream?
All right. The Jamaican dream. It involves living somewhere uptown. It involves a big house.
Big house.
It involves me a drive a Beamer, a BMW or a Mercedes.
A big car.
You know? Have a little business.
A business.
And I can travel to Farrin and do my thing, buy my clothes, visit my peoples, and come back when me want.
Okay.
When me want. Not when me can, but when me want.
Oh, yeah. Now when you're happy.
The American dream is a thing of the past, and apparently the Jamaican dream is what many people from developed and developing countries are now seeking by way of getting their Jamaican citizenship. There is the most interesting conversation going on in the comments of my video linked below on this exact topic. So I am going to share some of the reasons that the research show that there are many foreigners from across the world who are now getting their Jamaican citizenship. The first reason, of course, is the lifestyle and the cultural appeal. The beaches, the sunshine, the culture, the music, the food, all the obvious things that make Jamaica beautiful. The second one, of course, is business and economic opportunities. Jamaica's economy is developing, it's booming, or tourism sector is doing brilliantly. And there are people with monies to spend who see lots of opportunities in the country and want to get their Jamaican citizenship, so it is easier for them to do business in the country. The third reason is family and ancestry. I have seen so many comments about people who are of Jamaican ancestry who are really taking advantage of their lineage and getting Jamaican citizenship. Many people too who live in North America, US, the UK, who are seeing deteriorating conditions in those countries, especially from a racial perspective, want to lean back into their roots and have a viable option in the event they were to get displaced in their countries of residency. The fourth reason is around mobility and dual citizenship. Jamaican citizens right now can travel to over 80 countries across the globe without a visa. CARICOM and the broader Caribbean, South America, many countries, Venezuela, Colombia, certain countries in Asia, not to mention Africa. So many countries in Africa where you don't need a visa to travel with a Jamaican passport. Also, the Jamaican government makes it easy to do that. You can actually have dual citizenship. Jamaica operates under the premise that one has to live in the country for at least 5 years, be a lawful abiding citizen, learn the culture, and speak the English language to qualify for Jamaican citizenship. Join the conversation by clicking into the video below and let us know if we are missing any other perspective around why Jamaican citizenship is a trending hot ticket right now.
Let's break this down from both sides, those living in Jamaica and those living abroad. For Jamaicans at home, the dream is starting to feel less like fantasy and more like practicality. Real estate TikTok is popping off, farming content is getting likes, people are realizing you can rent out rooms to tourists, start a cooking channel, or get into agro-business, and that's without needing a visa or a sponsor. And with the rise of remote work, some younger Jamaicans aren't even thinking about migration. They are working tech jobs for US companies from Kingston while sipping coconut water on a porch. It's giving digital dream. That's not just a lifestyle, it's a redefinition of mobility. You don't have to physically live anymore to make it. But let's not pretend it's all paradise. Crime is still high, corruption is real, infrastructure gaps are frustrating, the education system needs reform. So, for many, the dream of living still holds weight, especially for working class youth with limited access to opportunity. It's not that the Jamaican dream is gone, it's that it's forked. There are multiple dreams coexisting. Now, let's flip the lenses to the Jamaican diaspora. Many Jamaicans abroad are experiencing what we could call migrant delusionment. They realize that after all the sacrifice, all the hours of work, all the stress of adjustment to cold climates and colder systems, they are not much better off than they were back at home. Some even say they would go back to Jamaica today if the roads were better, the job prospects stronger, the safety more consistent. But going back is never that simple. Children are in school, mortgages exist, green cards are fragile, and there is this shame that comes with coming home without making it. Even when people want to return, the pride of the foreign dream prevents them from doing so. Meanwhile, their relatives back at home are saying things like, I can't go to foreign country, too much stress up there. We are in a strange moment where people in Jamaica envy the diaspora and the diaspora envy those still in Jamaica. Both sides still think the other side is living the dream, but neither feels fully at peace. So, where does that leave the idea of the Jamaican dream? It leaves it fractured, fluid, no longer owned by the West, no longer tied only to migration. It's now a choose your own adventure dream. Some want to live, some want to stay, some want to return, some want to build a bridge between the two. And that's what makes it powerful. It's no longer a one-way ticket to somewhere better. It's about creating better wherever you are and having the agency to decide where that will be. Let's get real for a moment. We have to be honest about the psychology behind the old Jamaican dream. It wasn't just about opportunity. It was about validation. Validation from the West, from the white world, from the Babylon, from the so-called first world. Because deep down, a lot of us believed that if we weren't living in a big US city, driving a Lexus or shopping at Costco, we weren't truly successful. That belief was programmed into us by colonial leftovers, American media, and decades of economic hardship. The Jamaican dream, in its older form, was a trauma response. It came from a place of lack and fear and desperation. But now something is shifting. There's a rising generation that doesn't just want to be accepted by the world. They want to be respected by it. And that respect starts at home. Because what we are seeing is that every country has problems. America has mass shootings, racism, police brutality, homelessness, and mental health crisis. Canada has inflation and immigrant exploitation. The UK is dealing with class warfare and rising xenophobia. So fleeing Jamaica doesn't mean fleeing struggle. It just means choosing a different struggle. And if we are going to struggle, why not struggle where your culture is alive, where your language flows naturally, where your grandmother's recipe still simmers on the stove? Why not build where you belong? Of course, this is easier said than done. The Jamaican government still has work to do. They need economic reform, anti-corruption enforcement, better public services, safer streets, real jobs, accessible housing. If those things improve, the Jamaican dream won't just be symbolic, it will be strategic. People will stay not because they have to, but because they want to. And when a people want to stay, that's when a nation flourishes. You know what's really powerful? When a young Jamaican chooses to stay, not because they are trapped, but because they see potential. When immigrant returns, not because they failed abroad, but because they are ready to succeed at home. That's revolutionary. That's what makes this conversation so urgent. The Jamaican dream isn't dead, it's finally waking up. It's waking up from fantasy, waking up from illusion, waking up from dependency, and in its place is something more honest, more complex, more rooted. So whether you are in Kingston, London, Toronto, or New York, ask yourself, what's your version of the Jamaican dream and who taught you to believe it? Guys, drop a comment. Let me know what your thoughts are, and also remember to subscribe, like, and share as well. And until next time, bye-bye.